The desert wind carried with it the scent of dust, sweat, and old blood. The horizon burned red as the sun sank low, casting shadows long enough to swallow a man whole. Silence clung to the air, heavy and strange, until it was broken by the sound of footsteps, barefoot, stumbling, hurried. She appeared first as a blur in the dying light, a figure broken and bent, her dress torn, her hair wild, her skin marked by bruises that told of nights darker than most men dared to dream. When she reached the porch of his ranch house, she collapsed against the rail, breath hitching, eyes wide with terror. "Don't look at me," she whispered, voice trembling like a cracked bell. "Don't look at me." But Jedediah Crow, the rancher known for his silence and a stare as sharp as a drawn knife, did look. He saw everything, the dirt caked to her bare feet, the welt on her cheek, the blood drying at the corner of her mouth. And for the first time in years, something inside him broke. He fell to one knee in front of her, not in prayer, not in surrender, but in something heavier. "What happened?" he rasped. His voice carried the weight of a man who had buried brothers, fought wars, and lived in a land where mercy rarely bloomed. She shook her head violently, pressing her hands over her face. "Don't ask. Please don't ask. They'll kill me if I tell. They'll kill you too." But he stayed kneeling there, boots planted firm on the porch boards, eyes locked on her trembling frame. And deep in his gut, he knew this was no accident. No woman came crawling barefoot across miles of desert without a story carved into her flesh. Inside the house, the lanterns flickered. He helped her in, careful, as though she were glass and every crack in her body threatened to shatter her for good. She resisted at first, trying to pull back, but her legs buckled beneath her. "Easy now," he murmured. "Ain't no harm gonna find you here." But harm had already found her. When he lit the lamp, the truth came to light. Rope burns wrapped her wrists like bracelets of fire. A bruise circled her throat, purple and raw. She flinched at every sound, even the creak of the wooden floor. He poured water into a tin cup and set it before her. Her fingers shook so badly she could barely hold it, but she drank, gasping as though the water itself burned. "They took everything," she said finally, voice so low it seemed to bleed into the dark. "Everything but my shame." Jedediah's jaw tightened. He was no stranger to cruelty. He'd seen men hanged for stealing bread and others left breathing after murder. Justice in these parts was as thin as the rain, and twice as fickle. "Who?" he asked. Her eyes widened, panic surging. Don't make me say it. They're men with power. Men with guns. Men who own the law." That was enough. He knew the type. This land was crawling with them, wolves in fine boots, lords of dust who ruled with bullets instead of crowns. She tried to rise from the chair. "I should go. I can't stay here. If they find me." But he caught her gently by the shoulders, steadying her. "If they come, they'll meet me first." The look she gave him then was something more dangerous than fear. It was hope, raw and trembling. Night fell heavy over the plains. The coyotes howled, and in the quiet between her ragged breaths, she told him pieces of the story she swore she'd keep buried. She had been taken from the edge of town, lured by a promise of work. Men dragged her into a barn, locked the doors, and for days she was nothing more than something to be broken. She had escaped only because one of them had fallen drunk, leaving the latch undone. She ran barefoot until her skin tore, until the sun scorched her shoulders raw, until she saw the smoke curling from Jedediah's chimney. "I didn't mean to come here," she whispered. "I just ran until I couldn't anymore." Jedediah listened in silence, every word she spoke kindling the fire in his chest. His land had seen battles, Indians, outlaws, lawmen, and worse, but never had he felt war brewing inside his bones like this. He gave her his sister's old dress, folded and cleaned from a chest that hadn't been opened in years. He left her by the fire while he stepped outside to the barn. The air was cold, his breath sharp. He saddled his horse slow, every motion deliberate. When he returned, she was curled beneath a blanket, half asleep, still trembling. He crouched beside her, the firelight cutting across his weathered face. "Rest now," he said. "You're safe." But he knew better. Safety was a word men tossed around like dice, and in this land, dice rarely fell in your favor. The next morning, he rode into town. Dust swirled around him as the saloon doors creaked open. Men turned to look, the rancher who rarely spoke, rarely came. His eyes scanned the room until they landed on three men in the corner. Fine boots. Silver belt buckles. faces smug with the kind of power stolen from others' pain. Jedediah walked slow, boots thudding against the wooden floor. The piano stopped. The whispers rose. "You boys lose something?" he asked, voice low, steady. The tallest of the three leaned back in his chair, smirking. "Depends who's askin'. I'm askin'." The man's eyes narrowed. "You got no business in ours." Jedediah's hand hovered near his holster. The saloon grew still as stone. "You touch her again," Jedediah said, "and I'll carve your names into the dirt myself." One by one. The smirk slipped, but only for a moment. Laughter followed, sharp and cruel. "She come to you, rancher. That broken thing, she ain't worth fightin' for." Jedediah's fingers brushed the worn handle of his Colt. The room held its breath. But he didn't draw, not yet. He leaned closer, voice like gravel dragged over stone. "I'll say it once more. Stay away. Or I'll finish this where everyone can see." When he left the saloon, the sun cut across his face, and his heart pounded like war drums. He knew men like them didn't scare easy. They'd come. Back at the ranch, she was waiting by the window, eyes wide when she saw him return. "You went to them," she whispered. He nodded. "You shouldn't have. Now they'll come for you. For both of us." "Let 'em come," he said, setting his hat on the table. "I ain't running. Neither are you." For the first time since she stumbled onto his land, she wept, not from fear, but from something she hadn't felt in a long time. The nights that followed were heavy with waiting. Coyotes cried in the distance. Lanterns burned low. And in the silence, the bond between them grew, not love, not yet, but something fierce, forged in the fire of survival. On the third night, they came. The sound of hooves thundered in the distance, a dozen men or more. Torches lit the darkness. The ranch house stood small against the wide, hungry night. She clutched his arm, trembling. "They'll kill you." Jedediah loaded his rifle slow, methodical. "Not before I kill them." The men dismounted, shadows stretching long across the dirt. One of them called out, "Crow. Hand her over, and maybe we'll let you live." Jedediah stepped onto the porch, rifle resting against his shoulder. "You ain't talkin' her. Not now. Not ever." The night exploded. Gunfire cracked like thunder. Bullets tore into the wood, splintering beams. She screamed, ducking low as smoke filled the air. Jedediah fired back, steady, unshaken, each shot finding its mark. Men fell, their torches dying in the dirt. But there were too many, and the air burned with lead. Then she rose from her hiding place, clutching the pistol he had given her. Her hands shook, but her aim was true. She fired once, twice, her eyes blazing with a fury born of pain. Together they fought, until the last of the men fled into the night, leaving only silence and bodies scattered in the dust. When it was over, Jedediah dropped to one knee again, chest heaving, blood seeping from a graze on his arm. She rushed to him, clutching his face in her trembling hands. "You shouldn't have," she whispered again, tears cutting paths down her bruised cheeks. "You shouldn't have." But he looked at her, eyes fierce, voice steady even in the wreckage. "I do it again. Every damn time." And in that moment, bruised and barefoot no longer, she believed him.